So in the United States, there was a group called Wait Until 8th, which came up with a great way to break the collective action problem, which is in second grade, we try to get a bunch of parents to sign a pledge that they're not going to give their kid a smartphone until 8th grade. And then if you get a certain number in this school, this grade, then the pledge takes effect and the 10 of you or 20 of you are going to stick to it. So there was already dozens of groups like that around the world. In the UK, there was Smartphone-Free Childhood. A couple of mothers put up a WhatsApp post saying, hey, anyone want to join us and not give our kids smartphones? And they got thousands of people joining within a day or two. So mothers of the world were ready. Then my book comes out in March, and as far as I can tell, every book group, every mother's group that reads books, every book group, every teachers, everyone who deals with kids was talking about the book, reading the book, buying the book. And the book, I wrote the book to catalyze collective action, but I had no idea how quickly it would happen. This just blew me away because the world was ready. And I finally realized afterwards, part of why the world was so ready is that we were beginning to see this in 2019. Jean Twenge and I were writing about this. People were talking about this. Mothers Group were forming in 2019. And then COVID comes in. What happens? What kids needed in 2019 was a lot less screen time, a lot more outdoor time. What did they get? The opposite. Oh, you can't go outdoors. Oh, you'll catch COVID. In New York City, they closed the playgrounds. They closed the tennis courts. So kids had to just sit inside all the time. And so it was only as COVID was clearing, we could see the wreckage because mental health was getting worse and worse and worse. And we hit COVID and it gets worse and worse even faster. And people thought it was from COVID. But by 2023, 2024, when my book comes out, people can see this isn't COVID. This is something else. And so when the book came out, it was like, boom, all over the Western world, mothers got active. And so if we look at the four norms, you can just go through them. You can see the action that was taken. The first norm that I proposed to solve the collective action problem, no smartphone before high school, really 9th grade, not 8th. And so groups like Wait Until 8th and Smartphone-Free Childhood, they explode. Now there's so much publicity. Their memberships increase. There's a group called MAMA, Mothers Against Media Addiction. So groups of mothers are really organizing to try to stop giving 8, 9, 10-year-olds iPhones and iPads. So that's the first norm. Second norm is no social media till 16. And there, a couple of states, Florida passed a law, raised the age to 16. Oh, that's being held up in court. Australia, a year ago, passed a law which takes place, it'll activate this November, raising the age to 16 and requiring the companies to enforce it. A bunch of countries are thinking of following suit. So I think within 2 years, I think we're going to see an emerging global norm that social media, which means talking intimately with anonymous strangers, some of whom are men who want sex or money from children, this is just not going to seem okay. It's going to be like kids smoking or gambling. So I think we are going to see a global change on that social media should have a minimum age of 16.
As a spouse, a parent, or a leader, people count on you. But if you're constantly tired, unfocused, and just not feeling like yourself, how can you show up the way they need you to? That's where Merrick Health comes in. Merrick is a premier health optimization platform that uses comprehensive lab work, not guesswork, to uncover what's really going on in your body. Hormones, thyroid inflammation, nutrient levels, the markers that matter. Their expert clinical teams build a personalized, research-backed plan just for you, whether it's lifestyle changes, supplements, or prescription treatments. When you know what's going on inside, you can lead with clarity, show up with energy, and stay sharp for your family, your team, and yourself. Head over to merrickhealth.com and use code Peterson for 10% off to join their guided optimization program with your personal medical team. That's merrickhealth.com, code Peterson. Stop guessing, start leading, and start with Merrick Health.
Can I ask you some questions about that? Okay. Well, I'm thinking about this practically, let's say, and then also the potential downside. I'm very skeptical about the utility of digital ID. I've watched with horror what's happened in China, where they built Skynet, literally, the engineers. That's actually what they called it, which is beyond comprehension.
Oh my God.
Yes, and they said they actually called it Skynet. And when they were asked about the movie, they said, we're building the good Skynet, which is exactly what it's beyond, it's just beyond comprehension. 700 million closed circuit TVs, complete with gate analysis. Like it's so age verification. I understand your point. And the same, Layla Mickelwait has been trying to do the same thing, for example, with Pornhub. And she's like the world's worst enemy of Pornhub. She's really quite something, and more power to her. And there is a problem with online anonymity and the escape of the psychopaths from reputation. But the question is, how in the world do you verify people's age, for example, or their identification without falling prey to this totalitarian horror show?
So two things that people seem to misunderstand about this. One is that they assume that age verification means you give Meta or TikTok, you give them your government ID. That's what people assume it is. It's not. That's one way to do it. But the Australia law was written specifically, it specifically says that the companies have to figure out a way to do this, and they can't offer just a government ID. That is, if they want to collect driver's licenses or passports or whatever, that can be one option, but they have to offer others. What I'm envisioning is, let's take you want to open an account on Instagram. So you already go there, you put in information, you already have to put in your birthday. It's going to kick you over to a page that says, here are 5 ways to establish your age. And one could be you show us your driver's license. Liquor stores do that online. There are lots of banks have know your customer. So there are a lot of industries that already verify age and identity. So it's not as though this is some new thing that hasn't been done. It's being done every day by all kinds of businesses. Secondly, what I'm envisioning is, let's say the law might mandate you have to offer 4 different ways or 6 different ways. Most of those are not going to be Meta. They're going to be, you kick it over to another company that specializes in this. So for example, in the United States, I have Clear. Clear is a private company that does identity verification so I can speed through airports. Clear knows me, they know my age. So if I want to go to some platform and open an account, all I'd have to do is, Clear would be one of the 5 options. I say Clear, boom, I verify, I'm done, I'm in. And as long as Clear doesn't store the company that made the request, so even if Clear were hacked, they wouldn't know who made the request. And the company that made the request just basically, it's just yes or no. Like, is this person above our age or not? They don't actually know anything about you, just yes or no. So there were already dozens and dozens of companies that do age verification. For even 7 years ago or 5 years ago when I started looking at this, there was the Age Verification Providers Association. They have a trade group. There are so many of them. This is one of the problems the blockchain was supposed to solve. There are all kinds of ways to establish facts about you that don't hand over personal information. So I share your fear about Skynet, but the technology is such that there are dozens of ways to solve this problem.